Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of CopaLoadofRacing, where we're going to have a look at the cards at Ascot, Haydock, and we'll take a look at one race at Lingfield and the run up to Christmas, of course. Tomorrow's the last bit of racing before Boxing Day, and it's two pretty decent cards at Ascot and Haydock to mull over. Last week we had two winners for the vlog, Frodon and El Hombre delivering for us, so let's hope that continues tomorrow. We'll get to those tips in a moment. First of all, regards to Scottish racing, there was news coming out this week that Musselburgh has been granted a further temporary licence right through to October of next year to allow it to continue racing while it sorts out what's going on in the background ownership of the track. Remember, the recommendation is that the racecourse is to basically be out there for sale, and that is still to be resolved at this stage. So at least we know there's going to be racing right throughout the coming months and into the first half of the year, right through actually to the obviously next autumn. And Musselburgh, just over a month's time, or just under 2 months' time, should I say, will have one of its big fixtures of the year, of the season, I should say, the Cheltenham Trials Day. Well, 2 days now, it is a Saturday and Sunday. Actually, that was when we started this vlog earlier this year. It was on at that date, so we're nearly a year old already. So good news there. Also some other great news coming out this week about how much of benefit Scottish racing is to the local economy across the country, particularly at in and around the tracks, and it was a bit of a bumper year once again for Scottish racing, and let's hope that continues into 2019. Right, looking now to tomorrow's racing. Of course, this Ascot's traditional fixture just before Christmas, and 6 races I've got in total there. The racing there today, the ground's looking pretty testing now, and we have, of course, the JLT hurdle, which we all know is a long walk. A race just over 3 miles. A lot of focus probably going to be on Call Me Lord. This horse, I think, won the big handicap at Sandown, the Imperial Cup, or was it second in that race in actual fact, when it was well fancied, but followed that up by winning at Sandown at the April fixture, and so come back into this, well, stepping up, should we say, into Grade 1 company here, and it'll be interesting to see how well it performs. It's got, you know, that progressive look about it. I don't think the step further up and trip will be a major problem. It'll enjoy the ground as well. You know what I mean, Harry? This 10-year-old now, we all know about him, but he did win at Newbury, of course, in their big staying hurdle race back at the we would have called the Hennessy meeting, and so he's back here again. So that was a bit of a recovery mission, that race at Newbury, of course, but he has to now prove himself, I think, in this field. It's a really, really cracking race. There's a lot there to get their teeth into, to be honest. There's actually 2 horses that I'm looking at here to run well. Paisley Park. Now, Paisley Park's a novice who has won at Haydock and Aintree this season already, but that was both in good ground. But when you look back in its form, there is form in softer ground. He's going in the right direction, as I say. 6-year-old looks to be, just like with Call Me Lord, a progressive sort. and you know, Emma Lavelle feels it's worth taking a chance here. Big prize money in offer, so why not? And I think Paisley Park would have a real good chance there. Now, one at an each way price, 16 to 1 at the moment, is Top Notch. Now, Top Notch, I'd fancied going into the Cheltenham Festival a few years ago, and had that three-way battle with all the Henderson horses. I remember on the Friday, the Gold Cup day. I forget the others. That's terrible. Peace and Co wasn't it? Top Notch and Hargam, and the ground went against Hargam that day. But Top Notch and Peace and Co were pretty close. I remember having them in the street forecast, or reverse forecast, should I say. And from that, he progressed up into novice chasing and did pretty well. Won a few Grade 2s over the jumps, and then went off. Had a poor run at Ascot, I remember, at the February meeting there, but bounced back from that by winning at Sandown at the back end of last season. Now, stepping back over hurdles, I don't think it's a major problem going back the way. He has, in terms of trip, it's new, but when he won that race at Sandown, that was just shy of 3 miles, and that was on decent ground. I don't think ground's a major problem for him. He's won on decent ground, but you track back and again you'll find what I remember him winning at Kelso, the more battle hurdle, on really testing conditions. Okay, it was a softer race, that's let's be fair, but I think at a price he has a sneak of a chance there to maybe upset the odds there. So yeah, Top Notch to be watched at a bigger price. Right, moving on to the Garrard Silver Cup Handicap Chasers listed race over just shy of 3 miles at 3 o'clock. Gold Present's your favourite at the moment for Nicky de Bonville, Nicky Henderson, Nico de Bonville I should say. Full Glass is up there, but the one I'm going to look at is Thomas Patrick for Richard Johnson and Tom Lacey. Now, he's tracked back. I remember winning at the Grand National meeting at Aintree. I think it was actually on the day of the National. He won that big 3 mile staying chase, and he's got a bit about him, this horse. He went off the boil since back in November. He finished second in heavy conditions, but then was pulled up in the Ladbrokes Trophy, the Old Hennessy. But if he can bounce back from that form, he's there's you know, if he can draw a line through that performance at Newbury, then he's got enough class about him to put in a performance here, and he has a fair shout here at a bigger price, around about 7 to 1, and what is a winnable race for him. It's not as, mind you, I never said the Ladbroke Trophy was that deep a race, but whatever was the reason, it just didn't go right for him at Newbury. So you are still taking a chance that he's not in a downward curve at the moment, and this is a bit of a poor season he's having. I'm going to go for him anyway, Thomas Patrick, to bounce back to form at Ascot. Now, the old Ladbroke we used to call it, but now it's the Betfair Exchange Trophy. This handicap hurdle over just shy of 2 miles, 3:35. Now, this was, as I said, with the long walk, there was a few that I fancied in this. Now, Western Rider, I put him up for he was racing in the International, not the International. Beg your pardon, was it the International? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? And he finished third in that race. We struggled a bit out, but this is back into handicap company. That was a Grade 2, and raced reasonably well at Cheltenham in the November meeting, was beaten by Nietzsche, and I always struggle with this, Nietzsche, who I failed to back that Sunday when he won the Greatwood. I'll not go there. And saying that, I think the Brian Ellison horse has still a really good chance. He's went up £6 for that one. Danny McMenamin keeps a ride, and he's run about 12 to 1. And for winning the Greatwood, winning back-to-back hurdle races, handicap hurdles at this level is quite difficult. You really need to have a bit of class about you, because then you're probably going to progress in the graded company because of that. But I would say he still has a squeak of being up there. Western Rider, as I say, going back into handicap company will be advantageous, and should run well again. Will like the ground, but there was one more right at the bottom, and that is Alan King's Chates, who mixes up the codes in terms of where he performs, whether on the flat or over hurdles. Had a spin round at this track last month, finishing second under Wayne Hutchison. He was favourite, but that was in good ground. I don't think ground's really a major thing for him. On the flat, he's performed reasonably well in heavy ground. If I think back to a performance at Ayr, I backed him that day. He ran in I think it was the Thursday of the Gold Cup meeting, and that was his first run for quite a while. Went on to follow that run up with a performance at York that wasn't much to write about, it has to be said, but that performance last time out at Ascot puts him in with a chance here. I think at an each way shout. Chates is running about 20s, but yeah, if I was Western Rider, would still be my horse to take out the race, but I think Chates and Nietzsche, the winner of the Greatwood, has an opportunity to run well. Right, moving on to Haydock, the Tommy Whittle, which with the ground is completely different to the way it was back in November meeting, the Betfair Chase meeting, when it was good ground. It's soft, and this is what we expect to see of Haydock at this time of year. A real slog, this Tommy Whittle, for them. Clan Legends in there for Neil Alexander and his daughter Lucy. The horse though that I'm going to pick out is Alex Hale's horse, Jewel at Dawn, who we've not seen for a wee while. Was pulled up in the race that they have, or the 4 miler novice chase they have at Cheltenham. But you track back and he's run really well. I remember him winning at Exeter around about this time last season. It's a smaller field than what he's going to face tomorrow, but if it can recoup that form that he had maybe this time of year, he seems to perform at his best, because you look at those performances around about this time of year, October, November, December, January, he's been in the first two, and that race at Cheltenham, it's a real tough one. This is a tough race itself, but I just fancy Juliet Dawn to run a big one tomorrow in the Tommy Whittle, which is at 2:40. At 3:15, it's the Smarkets Betting Exchange Handicap Hurdle, and in this one, the horse that I was only Orson Foolsies. Now this is another horse that's had a bit of just like Chates, has had some runs on the flat to get him ready for this, and then he finished third at Wetherby, was it last week or the week before, so it's set him up well here, and again it's a horse that's not going to mind the ground, it should perform well, so he's got a £10 claimer, Billy Garrity, on his back here. So he's taken off a handy 10, and he's a pretty promising young rider, that Billy Garrity. And yeah, I think at a decent price. Only Orson Foolsies has a chance there. Right, back onto the flat though. We'll finish off with a look at Lingfield, and their big race of the day is at 2:15, and it's a listed race on the poly track. It's the Betway Quebec Stakes over 1.25 miles. And I'm just actually going to give you a forecast here, but actually maybe what to do in this one is I think the winner will win by less than 2 lengths. So you could maybe have it by less than a length. I think that might even be worthwhile. Now, there's an odds-on favourite, the John Gosden's Cambridgeshire winner. Now, it's Wizzahicken. Rab Havlin's on board here, and he won that Cambridgeshire really impressively. He's getting in a great spin of form going into that race, having won at Chelmsford. He's going to be very difficult to beat, this horse, but Big Country is always in and around there. Luke Morris from Mike Appleby ran for his second in a listed race back at Lingfield last month, behind Master of the World, and that was just by a neck. So that's why I'm saying I think it might be a close margin thing. I think these two at the head of the markets. Big Country's about 5-1, and then you've got Scarlet Dragon, Good Horse, Mango Tango, Goring, and then you're starting to get into the realms of fanciful, totally unfanciful Veletti and Part Exchange. But yeah, I would go with those two. If you want to go with the straight, that Wizzahicken is going to win it, and Big Country will be second to better your odds, rather than splitting it with the reverse. But I think there'll be, I personally think there'll be less than a length in it, whoever wins it, and that might be your bet for that race. Right, that's about it from myself for that. Looking ahead to some good racing tomorrow. I think there's only 4 meetings actually, with Newcastle also got a jumps card tomorrow, and then, as I say, there's a bit of a break, no racing on Sunday or on Christmas Eve. Traditionally there's never any racing on Christmas Eve or of course on Christmas Day, but everybody will be back fully refreshed, I'm sure. Maybe not refreshed, I'll not be refreshed, that's for sure, on Boxing Day, but I'll be looking forward to the Kempton card as always, with of course the King George Christmas Hurdle and so on. But it's a great 2 days racing actually at Kempton. Now, we'll look to get a preview of that. I'll try and get that preview on Christmas Eve for you, for the Kempton cards, and look forward to what is on offer. But for the moment, have a great weekend. Hope you've not got any last minute Christmas shopping to do. If you have, then enjoy it. But I'll be back, as I say, Christmas Eve, and I'll wish you a happy Christmas then. But if you don't catch me then, hope you have a good one, and take care. CopaLoadofRacing.